Hi guys, Miss Scott here. Today we're going to jump ahead to section 2.4 and we're going to learn some new postulates today and how to use those to identify some things in drawings. The first four postulates are here. We covered those in chapter 1, but let's jump ahead to postulate 5 and we're going to draw a picture to illustrate these. So postulate 5 tells us that through any 2 points, so if you have 2 points, let's call them A and B, there exists one line and only one line. All right. Postulate 6 tells us that a line contains at least 2 points. So it's very similar to postulate 5, but now it's starting with the line. Let's actually do this. It's starting with the line. And then it's saying that there has to be at least 2 points going through that line, or on that line. All right, postulate 7. If 2 lines intersect, so say we have 2 lines that intersect, then their intersection is exactly 1 point. Yep, so it just intersects here at point A. All right, postulate 8. Through any 3 non-collinear points, so let's say we have 3 non-collinear points, there exists exactly 1 plane. Yep, so we could put those all in exactly 1 plane. Okay. Postulate 9 tells us that a plane consists of at least 3 non-collinear points. So now we are starting with the plane, and in that plane there has to be at least 3 non-collinear points. So very similar to the last postulate, but now it's starting with the plane and saying there's got to be at least 3 non-collinear points in that plane. All right, the last 2 postulates, postulate 10 says if 2 points lie in a plane, so we've got to draw 2 points and put them in a plane. So if 2 points lie in a plane, like so, then the line containing them lies in that plane. So this line also must be in that plane since those 2 points are in that plane. All right, 11 is kind of difficult to draw, so bear with me here. If 2 planes intersect, then their intersection is a line. All right, now here's how you can draw that. Start, and I encourage you to use a pencil for this one. If you haven't been using a pencil, use one now. So we're going to draw a plane, and then what you do is through that plane, draw a line straight up and down, and then we're going to draw part of this plane, and it's going to go down through here. And then I like to do this. I like to make dashed lines here, and then make this line here, this section, dashed as well. All right, so there are 2 intersecting planes. You can think of it as like a cross. And then they intersect right here. And this is actually a line where they intersect. All right. And let's call it line M. Okay, so now we're going to use those postulates to figure out what these next 2 diagrams illustrate. So, looks like in example 1, we're going to state and write out the postulate illustrated by the diagram. So this says if, looks like we got 2 lines intersecting, then they intersect here at this point. Well, what postulate does that look like? Looks like postulate 7. So state and write out, so we're going to say postulate 7, and then we're going to write it out. If two lines intersect, then their intersection, is exactly 1 point. All right. Let's see, number 2, that looks like that last picture we just drew. If two planes intersect, then their intersection is a line. So that was postulate 11, the last one we drew. So if two planes intersect, then their intersection is a line. Okay. All right, let's move on to a few more examples practicing these postulates. We're going to use this diagram here of plane M to write an example of each postulate. So postulate 6, if we look back at that one, postulate 6 says a line contains at least 2 points. So we have to find a line that has at least 2 points. Looks like the only one here is line Q. And line Q contains 2 points. Actually, 3 points. Let's say line Q contains points, let's see, what 2 points is that? J and K? So that would be an example of that postulate. Postulate 7 says, if two lines intersect, then their intersection is exactly 1 point. Well, looks like lines P and Q do intersect at 1 point. Lines P and Q intersect at point H. So that's that point right there. And lastly, postulate 8 says, through any 3 non-collinear points, there exists exactly 1 plane. So we've got, just to find 3 non-collinear points, how about point J, K, and L? So we could say points J, K, and L are non-collinear and lie in plane M. All right. Okay, so the next part is an activity, and below I'll link you guys to a PDF of these cutouts here. You can write them in if you're at home and you don't have access to a printer. Otherwise, ask me in class. I'll get you a copy of these slips of paper that you can cut out. So what you are going to do here is cut and paste the information about the diagram in the correct column. So from this diagram, there are some things we can assume and some that we cannot assume. So let's look at this first cutout here. Angle AHB and BHD, so AHB and BHD is this one, are a linear pair. Well, we can assume that because they make a straight line and they're next to each other, they're adjacent. So yes, we can assume that. Next one, angle AHB is 90 degrees. So where is angle AHB? AHB. So that's this angle here. They don't have a right angle symbol there. They don't tell us it's 90 degrees, so we can't assume that. A, H, J, and D are collinear. So here's point A, point H, J, and D. They're all on this line right here. So yes, we can assume that those are collinear. So that was in this column. Lines BF and line CE intersect. So here's line BF Here's line CE. We can assume that those intersect. So there's no way of really knowing that from this diagram. All right, next one says angle AHF, that's this angle here, and BHD, right there, are vertical angles. Well, they're in the same plane. They are across from each other when two lines intersect, so we can assume that. Okay, what do we got next here? Line B, F, and CE do not intersect. We actually can't assume that either. We don't know if they're parallel. They don't tell us, and there's no symbols that say that those are parallel. All right, angle BHA is congruent to angle CJA. Well, they look like they're about the same number of degrees, but they don't tell us how many degrees they are, and they don't have any marks on them, so we cannot assume that those are the same measure. G, F, and E are collinear. Well, there's no line going through them. They look like they are, but unless there's a line going through 3 points, you cannot assume that they are collinear. Let's see, the next two must be something we can assume. Line AD and BF intersect at H. AD, BF, yes, they intersect here at H. We can assume that. And all the points shown are coplanar. Yes, they all have a point in that plane P, so they are coplanar. All right, let's look at our last set of examples. Perpendicular, we haven't talked about this yet, but perpendicular lines are lines or planes, they could be planes, lines and planes that meet at 90 degrees. All right, and the symbol that says something is perpendicular, instead of writing out the word perpendicular, you can use this upside down T. So let's use that and this picture here to do some true or false statements. Planes W and X, these two planes intersect at line KL right there. Yep, that is true. Points Q, J, and M are collinear. Remember, there's no line going through them, so we can't for sure say that. That's false. Points K, L, M, R are coplanar. Well, R and M are in two different planes, so that would actually be false. Okay, line MN and line RP intersect. So line MN is here, line RP is here, but this part's dashed. It looks like they do, but since that part behind line MN is dashed, we can't actually say that they intersect because they're not in the same plane. So that is a tricky one, but it is false. Line RP is perpendicular to plane W. RP is perpendicular to plane W. I don't think so, because line RP is in plane W, so it can't be perpendicular to it. That's gotta be false. 11, line JK lies in plane X. Well, JK is actually in plane X and W, so it's also just in plane X. And lastly, angle PLK. PLK is a right angle. I don't see a right angle symbol there, so that has to be false. All right, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.